Today, I am joined by the amazing, the incredible, the first Black woman Java champion, the principal developer advocate at Applet Tools, the queen herself, Angie Jones. Thank you for being here with me today, Angie.
Thank you, Danny. Glad to be here.
For those that don't know, I'm a massive Angie Jones fan. So on the inside, I'm fangirling, but I'm keeping it calm, cool, and collected right now. I want to act like I belong here. But you're probably one of the first people that I actually had the chance to even talk to when I started sharing my journey on Twitter. And you have shared so much knowledge and so much information with everyone that I think it's an absolute privilege just to not just know you, but to be able to absorb that knowledge from you. And you share so much for free that it's incredible. So for those that don't follow you, fix that mistake now. But I mean, like, just to even touch on one thing, you released an entire Java course for free. And of all the recommendations that I give people, it's one of the top ones. You poured so much information into that. How long did that even take you? And what was the motivation to even do that?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Danny, for the kind words. Java is my baby. I love Java. I specialize in testing. So test automation, I'm usually hired as an automation engineer at different places, right? So I would maybe get like 5 recs. Hey, we need you to build out this automation team. And I'm looking for automation experts. And automation engineers are like a mix between development and testing experts. Like you need to be an expert in pretty much both of these. And I would find people with either the development skills or either the testing skills. The testing folks were kind of closer to what I was looking for, but they didn't have the coding skills, right? So that's why I got the idea to create a programming course to teach people this foundational skill. And I made it a bit broader. So I didn't just target it to testers or automation engineers, but anybody who wants to know how to code. So it's basically Java 101. I used to teach Java at the collegiate level. So I took that syllabus and made the course out of it. And so it's a full semester of Java programming available for free on testautomationuniversity.com.
Well, let's start at the beginning. And this is a question that I ask everybody on the series. Who are you? And what was your start into tech and what was your path into tech?
Yeah. All right. So I didn't grow up around like computers or, tinkered with computers or toys or anything like that as a child. I did enjoy math, not so much science, but I guess I had like the analytical skills or whatever. Going into college, I didn't even know like this tech thing was a space, right? I didn't know what a computer programmer was or that it even existed. So when I went to college, I was very unsure of what I wanted to do with my life. I just figured, I should probably go to college, And I went and I chose business as my major, not because, I was interested in it, just because I thought, well, that's a valuable trade that I could fall back on once I do figure my life out. So my freshman year, my father, he was an accountant at the time, and he saw that tech was this emerging space, right? And he recommended that I take just a computer class, just so you know how to use it, because his vision showed him that no matter what industry you end up being in, you're going to need to know how to use this computer, because this is what everybody's doing right now. And so I said, all right, me not knowing anything, I didn't enroll in like, oh, here's a Windows and Excel type of computer course. No, silly me. I enrolled in C++ programming. And I actually loved it. I fell in love with programming. I had a great professor. He was very encouraging. And he was like, why are you not a computer science major? Because I was like top of the class. Never had done this stuff before. And he explained to me what a computer programmer was, what that role looked like, and I switched my major to computer science. So ended up with both a bachelor's and a master's degree in computer science.
That's awesome. And so I guess what was that spark that it clicked for you? Like what about it was drawing you to it?
Yeah. I would say I grew up, my family is a big, like, kind of board game type of family. So anytime we would have family gatherings, we're pulling out, Uno, we're pulling out categories. Scrabble is a family favorite. All of those types of games. So games where there's a little bit of luck, but it also takes, some strategy as well. These are the games that I enjoy the most. And programming kind of felt like that. It felt like a puzzle where I need to figure out the pieces and I need to put it all together, right? And so I was drawn to just the analytical part, the logical part of it, the strategy part of it. It felt very challenging for me, but not challenging in a bad way. Not like I'm pulling my hair out or I'm about to cry. It's like, I don't know how to do this. Here's an opportunity for me to figure it out. And it's like, I would leave class, like we would get our homework. I would be the one that runs to the computer lab. We didn't have like laptops and stuff at our houses back then. So I would run to the computer lab because I want to start my homework. Everybody else is like running to the yard. I went to a HBCU, so it was lit. And everybody's running to the yard and you're going to step or see the Greeks and stuff like that. Not me. I'm like in the lab because I want to get this program popping. And so that's when I knew, like, oh, this is really interesting to me. It's challenging and very, very rewarding.
So you kind of said one thing that it was interesting to you, and I guess that leads me to my next question. What is an interesting moment that you've had in your field and in this career of yours being in tech?
Yeah. So people look at me now. I'm not the same person as I was when I entered this space. Right now, I exude confidence and I'm comfortable in the space, but that wasn't always the case, especially coming from an HBCU. So my very first job was an engineering job at IBM. IBM was very male and very white. And I grew up around Black people. I went to college with Black people. All of us were in the same boat. I didn't have the typical college stories that a lot of women talk about where they were the only one or no, like, or that they were the one who didn't know and everybody else had been tinkering their whole childhood. Everybody in my class was the same boat. None of us knew anything and we were there just picking it up and helping each other out, right? So when I got to IBM, it was a culture shock for me. There were no Black people around. I would be at a table in a meeting or something, and I'm just surrounded by white males. And it was intimidating. It was very intimidating. So I don't know about other people, but I grew up with a traditional Black saying where it's like, you don't go in there making a lot of noise. You go into work, you keep your head down, you do your work, you go on home, right? And so I tried to use that approach, and that just did not work in tech. I did okay starting out, but then I started to get like dings on my review, and it wasn't because the work wasn't done. And I couldn't understand that for the life of me, right? I was very, very upset about that because it's like, why am I getting a bad review? My work is done. Most of it was done ahead of schedule. I did extra work more than I committed to. How could I not have a good review? And the feedback that I received was, well, it doesn't really seem like you're a team player, right? You're not engaging with other people. When we're at these brainstorming sessions, you're not speaking out. You're not contributing ideas, right? I would let them figure everything out, tell me what to do, go kill it, and move on to the next thing. And that just wasn't enough. So I was pushed to the point where I had to get over that fear, that intimidation, right? That imposter syndrome. No, you can't do it. You got a bad review, girl. Your work is not going to be enough to get you through this. So I had to start engaging. And whether that was right or wrong, fair or unfair is irrelevant, right? This is the game. And I told you, I like games, right? This is the game. These are the rules. Play it or don't play it, right? And it's totally valid to say, I don't want to play that game and leave, but that wasn't me. I do want to play a game. I love coding. I like these nice checks. What's the rules? Okay, bet. So I started engaging more. And Danny, I had ideas. I didn't want to share them. They were so different than the other ideas that people were throwing on the table. And so I was shy about that and thinking, well, I must not get it because the solution I'm coming with is so different. I must not understand the problem, and you start doubting yourself. But I don't want another bad review. So I'm going to just throw my little silly idea on the table and whatever. At least they can say I said something in the meeting. So I started throwing these ideas out, Danny, and I was expecting to get like laughs or, like, shut up, girl, or whatever. But quite the opposite. People were stunned. They were wowed. They would say things like, that's really innovative. And so much so, I went on to patent these ideas through the company. And now I have 26 patents in the United States and China from these ideas that I was too afraid to speak out because they were so different from what everyone else is thinking. And that's not because I'm a genius at all. No, that's because I think because I'm different, because I have a different upbringing, because I have, different culture than a lot of people that I work with, I see things through different lenses. So I made my differences my superpower. And I went from being afraid to share them because they were different to saying, oh, I got something different. Take notes, boys, and so that helped shape who I am today. That gave me confidence to start speaking out more, to start, using my experiences and my culture to help me in tech.
I find that so interesting because I do think most people, and I was definitely one of them, were very afraid to share these new ideas. And it does become intimidating when you're in a room filled with 20 people that have 20 years of experience and you're brand new into this field and you're going to share an idea and it may be, well, I don't know all the concepts. So maybe this idea doesn't really work in the grand scheme of things. Or maybe this is flawed logically and I just don't see it. And I don't want to say this in front of someone that has eons of experience.
Right.
And then you share that and then they validate that idea saying, no, this was actually really good. Nothing feels better, but I can tell you it's a roller coaster ride until you get that answer back. Like it feels like you're at the top of that roller coaster and just to get some kind of validation back. So that's beyond incredible that you were able to not just share your ideas, but have them validated as this is valuable input.
Yeah. And not just on the scale of my team. Like I said, we're now patenting these things in not just this country, but other countries as well. Like that really gave me the boost I needed because it was like, no, I know my stuff, and it's not just my media team saying that. Like, no, I'm making a mark in this world,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we can't be afraid to share our ideas and our experiences, even though it's very different from what else might be around us.
I know people are gonna take things from these conversations that we've been having, but even I just took something from that I think I need to reevaluate about myself. So thank you for sharing that. I do have a question for you, and that is, what do you think is the future for Black tech?
am so excited about Black tech. There was a time, I've been in this a long time. I know I look young, child, but I've been doing this for a very long time. And there was a time, I went 12 years in my career, Danny, before I ever coded with another Black woman. And when you think about that, sit down and think about that, what that does to the psyche, it kind of enforces your inner doubts that you even belong here, right? And it was so empowering to have that experience. And since then, I've had that experience over and over again. And now that I'm moving up, I have the opportunity to, help companies find other Black talent. Like, no, we are out here. Don't think we're not. We are. And not too long ago, it's maybe like 3 years ago, I was working at Twitter. And like my entire, you got the open floor space or whatever. We had like these long desks, but my entire desk was made up of Black engineers. And that was a phenomenal experience for me. And I'm thinking, man, this is how other people living. Like, no wonder they excelling in this thing. You around your people, or, just people who understand you and your culture and stuff like that. And it was amazing. So that gave me like so much hope. I see so many Black technologists, not just here, but doing the thing. Like they are out here killing it. And that representation matters, right? Before I ever started speaking, so I speak a lot. I'm an international keynote speaker. Last year I did like 65 talks, right? I do lots of talks. That wasn't always the case either. That's relatively new. That happened within the last 4 or 5 years. Before then, it was a goal. I want to speak at a conference, a goal that I didn't move on until I was on Twitter. I was scrolling. I saw a post and it was advertising a conference, and it said that this Black woman was speaking. It had her picture. She had dreadlocks. This stopped me in my tracks because I never seen a Black woman speaking at a tech conference, let alone keynoting the conference. I didn't know what this conference was, but guess what? I was going, Danny. I booked my ticket right then and there because I had to go see this Black woman speak. Just so happened that conference happened to be a conference that teaches women how to become thought leaders, how to the whole process of speaking at a conference, of writing blog posts, of contributing to open source. That conference changed my life. But the only reason I got there is because I saw someone who I could identify with. And I want to be that to someone else. When I speak, I want people to say, I could do it. Look at sis. She's doing it. I could do it, And just having more and more representation. Now it's not just her speaking. Now it's me. Now it's someone else. Now it's someone else. And now we can have, like we did with Aztec, full conference full of Black speakers. And I can't tell you how proud I was to listen to talk after talk. These were not no handout charity type talks. These were excellent. And I see a lot of talks. I'm at a lot of conferences. That's my job, to be at conferences, listening to talks and stuff. These were top-notch talks. And so I am very excited about Black folks in tech. The future of that, it's already changing. Of course, much more that we can do, but we are definitely making strides, and I'm super stoked about it.
I love that, and for one major reason. And the idea of you seeing someone and it inspired you to talk and inspired you to go to a conference, that is actually a pivotal reason why, and we've had this talk before, why I try to be so vocal and why I ask other people to be so vocal. I didn't know I was allowed to be in tech until I saw something. It was a rapper talking about how they're learning how to code. And it changed my life. I don't know who's that one person that needs to hear that thing that they're allowed to be in this space. And that is actually why I often love your Twitter and I often recommend people to follow you there, because you're also letting other people know that they're allowed to be in this space and they're allowed to enter it. And you don't know who needs to hear that. One random person somewhere in the world may come across a random tweet that you made, and it now lets them know that they're allowed in this space.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
a keynote speaker let you know that you're allowed to thrive here as well.
Yeah. Imagine that.
So I love that. I will always support you in anything that is that you do. And if there's anything you ever need from me, don't ever hesitate to ask. You're my sister, and you know that. I will
Yeah.
always have affection for you. Feel that. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you have an insanely busy schedule, so thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. My pleasure.